This is Analog Spectrum. Do you realize there was actually a reality show called MILF Manor? That's definitive proof that our world is going right down the shitter.
Hello again, everybody. This is Analog Spectrum. I'm here with Drew and Doug, and it is a blazingly hot summer day in South Central Texas. And that might come across a little bit in the podcast today because we are all sweating for no damn good reason. It's so just fucking hot here right now.
Sweat when you breathe today.
Dude, no doubt, man. It's sweat. It hurts. But all right. And so what we're going to talk about today is we all, even though it came out a while ago, it is currently on Paramount Plus, and we all watched the Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I did actually want to talk about this movie because I've got mixed feelings, and for a couple different reasons. But I'm just going to put it out there. If anybody, just real quick summary, came out, I think, let me see here, in 2023, towards the beginning of 2023. It's starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, and some other individuals. It's kind of a movie. I don't know if I would necessarily want to say loosely based, but you really can't not say loosely based on the game that came from the 1970s, designed by Gary Gygax. The Dungeons and Dragons has gone through many, many iterations. Doug and I both played it. I still do play it on occasion, where it is a role-playing game, a fantasy role-playing game with a massive, massive IP. And so, again, this movie was released in early 2023. It's about a group of individuals. It says Honor Among Thieves. Interestingly, there's not really a thief amongst the group, none that's except for one individual. Yeah, not really. But there's a bard, there's a druid, there's a sorcerer, there's a barbarian. At the beginning of the movie, a thieving expedition goes badly. Two of them get arrested, and then hilarity ensues, so to speak. One of the individuals that was in the thieving band ends up turning on them, becomes the Lord Emperor of Neverwinter, which is a huge Dungeons and Dragons area, and he aligns himself. I don't want to give, we'll definitely spoil it, but he aligns himself with a bad wizard, and that bad wizard is aligned with a leech lord who wants to take over Neverwinter. So that's kind of the idea of the movie, and I'm sure we'll talk about several points of it as we go on. But even like this maybe even kind of folds over a little bit into other conversations we've had about Hollywood being too woke and so forth. So who wants to take lead on this? Who wants to tell me what they thought of the movie? I would be happy to go first, but Doug, maybe you can tell me what you thought of it.
You go first, Drew.
I was going to say, I want to go first before my dad talks about it, because I already know what he's going to say.
Okay.
And so I quite enjoyed it, to be quite honest with you.
Okay. Yeah.
And we held off discussing any detail of this movie at all. However, I did mention that I think it's one of those movies, and I think a lot of movies nowadays are like this. One of those movies you have to be in the mood for the type of movie that it is. So if you're looking for something real deep and meaningful, like we discussed The Matrix a little while ago, something with crazy plot twists and shit that you're not going to really expect and real deep character development, probably not the movie for you. It's somewhat surface level, cheesy, fun. You could probably take some kids to go see it and they would have a freaking great time. So the night that we watched it, it was like the perfect movie for me that night. Like, I was just in the mood for something real light, real simple, real easy to watch. The jokes didn't take any type of brain power to get. It was all pretty above board, kosher, and fun,
Mm-hmm.
And I have also actually played D&D, not very much of it, but I've played some D&D before. So like you said, it's very, very, very loosely based on stuff. Like, they dropped a couple things in, like you said.
They did.
There was a paladin that entered into the story for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, they sprinkle a little bit of the lore in there, but it's certainly not, I mean, and again, they're going on like an adventure, so that part you could kind of attribute to D&D as well. But and I did think there was a couple times that it made me think it would have been funny if they could have somehow worked in like dice rolling in there, because there are some things that just when something went horribly wrong, it's like a Nat Zero. You know what I mean? Like it would be
Right.
funny if they had been able to somehow sprinkle that in there, or when movie magic, something incredible happened to them and they got real lucky. Rolling
Hmm.
a Nat 20 or something like that. But so I did have a couple of those thoughts during the movie, but as far as I know, I didn't pick up on anything like that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. It was fun. They had some nice, um, nice little plot twists and turns in there that I don't know wasn't necessarily super hard to see coming, but also it wasn't just obviously coming. So yeah,
Hmm.
overall, I'd give it I don't know like a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I tell you, and Doug, what do you think?
Um, well, it was better than I expected. I you texted that we should watch it, and we flipped on the trailer, and I was already making shitty comments, and my wife even said, "All right, if you watch this when I'm not here, because I don't want to hear it." And I'm like, "Okay, I get it. Attitude check." So she made the suggestion, like, just make some popcorn and just watch the freaking movie, right? So we did. We made some popcorn, and we watched it. So it was it was not as woke as I thought it was going to be. Um, I super thin plot. Obviously, it was basically a Taken in the D&D world, uh, without all the cool fights and stuff. But yeah, I think you guys are right on the money with the they borrowed the Dungeons and Dragons title and didn't really. It wasn't really a Dungeons and Dragon movie with the few small exceptions, but I didn't think about that, Drew, with the dice thing. That would have been cool and fun. But I just don't like that lead guy, same guy that played Captain Kirk.
Oh, Chris Pine.
Um,
Yeah. You don't like him?
yeah, don't like him at all.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, not even close. But um, I thought some of the other actors were pretty decent. Obviously, the costume and set design was great. There was plenty of cool stuff in there, and CG was good. But yeah, this the I also didn't like what's his face in this from
Hugh
Four
Grant.
Weddings and a Funeral. Yeah,
Hugh
Hugh
Grant.
Grant. I don't know, man. It's like he just didn't seem to fit the role. He did a pretty good job, I think, for what it was, but I just think he was ill cast for it. It should have been a no name somebody in there. I think this movie. That's a good way of putting it from my perspective. I think this movie would have been a lot better if it was a bunch of no name characters in there, like
Oh wow.
not the big names. I think it would have been better that way. But anyway, there was nothing in it that really made me go like, "Oh my god,"
Hmm.
and roll my eyes. But there was also nothing in it that made me go like, "Oh, that's pretty good." So it was pretty vanilla all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my turn.
Your turn, go.
Okay. Well, so yeah, like this is a movie kind of like you're talking about watching the trailer. I remember when the trailer came out and watching the trailer, and it's just very very difficult for me not to watch anything now through like, oh shit, this is going to be woke lens, right? Like as soon as I watch it, I'm kind of like even in the opening part, you can kind of see that like Chris Pine seems to kind of play this nebbish, and they even kind of
Mhm.
joke about the fact that his character in the trailer that his character is kind of like either just something for the other characters, especially the female characters, to beat up on. And I got a little quote here. Even the writers, which John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, even in one interview, commented on the fact that they appreciate emasculating men in their scripts, right? And so I was like, I'm never fucking watching this. Okay, there's no way I'm ever watching this. Okay, I know what this is going to be like, and it's going to be, Chris Pine. There, he's going to be basically a whipping post, and also, and to be honest with you, uh, I, I'm going to say this. Michelle Rodriguez in most anything she's in goes from I can barely stand her to I completely cannot stand her in every role she does. Like Letty
Mhm.
in the Fast and the Furious movies, there's something about her. There's an arrogance about her that pushes me the
Agreed.
wrong way. I just am not a fan. Okay, so but a lot of individuals like the critical drinker, for example, was like, hey, it's pretty good, and so he's somebody who I respect his opinion and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I'm still not paying to see it. I ended up getting Paramount for the Bad News Bears, right? And and so even before I watched Bad News Bears, we were like, let's watch. I said, I'll go ahead and watch it. It's now it's staring right in the face. Let me watch it. Okay. So with that said, okay, I watched it, and I was very impressed by this freaking movie, man. I thought this was like a really, really good movie. Now, it's interesting you don't like Chris Pine. I like Chris Pine. Okay, I think
Can't
that
stand him.
no,
I like it.
I like him. I thought he was great, honestly. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I disagree with the fact that having no names. I think the movie would have suffered without him. I think it would have suffered without Hugh Grant because I think they're good actors. And there are certain lines in there, like I did. As a matter of fact, I watched it before I recommended it, and I just went back and watched it. And again, the nods it makes to Dungeons and Dragons. I am not a hardcore Dungeons and Dragons person. I mean, I've played it, but there were certain things in that movie, like I know Neverwinter. I know what a gelatinous cube is. I know what a berserker is. I know what an owlbear is, right? So when I saw those in the movies, I was like, and I know this, and just kind of talking to other people that play D&D more than me, just about everything in that movie, like you remember the when they're in that maze, and they have the chest that pop open and they're actually creatures. I remember when I had like the first monster manual and seeing those things in there. So I thought all that was kind of cool. But ultimately, and I will tell you right now, I thought this is probably my favorite Michelle Rodriguez role. I watched it. It did not hate her at all in this. I liked her in this role. I thought, and when you talk about so I think what was interesting is that the writers to say that and actually to portray it in a trailer as a potentially woke movie when it's really, and you even said it, it's really not a woke movie. It kind of demonstrates a disconnect we see in Hollywood, right? The fact that they're willing to say, oh yeah, we're going to emasculate men. We're going to show you a trailer where Chris Pine looks like he's made a lesser individual by the female characters around him when the movie really isn't that way. It makes me
But see, I
scratch
thought the
my
movie
head.
really was that way, but it
What?
wasn't. It wasn't as I thought it was that way because he did. I mean, they made a comment. The one chick asked him like, "What do you do?" The little elf chick, and
There
he
was
said, "Oh,
that
I
one.
plan stuff."
There was that one. There was that one thing. And I remember that, and I agree with that. Where they have this banter, but I do think I kind of held his own. I will tell you. I'll give you an example of where I would expect wokeism to kind of dig in, and where they actually kind of took a different direction. And I was like, okay, they didn't slap in my face. One part where I thought this is because that's what we're talking about. There would be scenes in there where the whole movie would be that they would be emasculating or minimizing the Chris Pine character, right? What was his character's name? Edgin, whatever, Edgin. I don't know,
Mhm.
Edgin,
Mhm.
right? So they'd be emasculating him, and there were a few moments. But he was a core central character. Like he was the one that drove the party forward. But with that said, there was that one scene where Holga goes back to where she meets her halfling ex-boyfriend, whatever, and she goes in and he basically ends the relationship, and she comes out and she's clearly devastated by that the breakup is just she's got the closure she didn't really want to have, and so Chris Pine looks at her and he starts singing, right? He starts singing to her, right? And I think what ended up happening? How did that scene play out? Well, she looks at him, she smiles, and she starts singing with him, and it cheers her up, right? And so she feels better, and so now in a typical like woke movie, he would have started singing and she probably would have grabbed the lute out of his hand and like smashed it on a rock. You know what I mean? And be like, so again, they were equal, and they, and he was able to, their friendship was core and central, and he wasn't just somebody for her to pummel. And there's other scenes you talk about, like she wasn't the smartest one in the relationship. He was the smarter one in the relationship. There's a scene like where they're riding and he's like, well, I don't know what we need to do here. And she says, why don't we fire an arrow arrow into her window, and he's like, it could hit her and kill her, and she's like, that's a chance we have to take. You know what I mean? Like, clearly he knows that probably firing an arrow in the room isn't a big deal, but she's a barbarian. She plays a barbarian role, and she does it well. Yeah. So I just looked at him. Now again, I thought some of the script and dialogue was great. I thought like the paladin, again, the paladin was perfect in his own way, but completely not perfect. I still love like, again, I don't need to repeat the lines, but the whole banter between the group and the paladin was to me was some of the best dialogue in the movie. And I also like, again, a true nod to D&D is that the paladin was an NPC. That's what the paladin was. That's the reason why, they met him. He moved the story forward, and clearly he was the best person to go to the castle and end this, right? But what does he say? He says, "Nope, this is your journey. I'm stepping away," right? Because he's an NPC. He's not part of the group that's playing. He's separate from it. So once his role's done, he's gone. And also when they're sitting around and they're talking and she's like, "What are we going to do here?" And Holga's like, "Why don't you just use magic?" And the guy's like, "You don't understand." He basically, because in D&D, magic is completely bullshit, right? Magic is completely bullshit. But he like falls in the hard defense of hard magic, and all that kind of stuff. I just thought stuff like that was really well done, probably better than the movie deserved. So again, I agree with what both of you are saying quite a bit. It definitely wasn't like the best movie I ever saw, but I went into it with exceedingly low expectations. I really thought it was going to be a dumpster fire. And just like, we talked about Gunpowder Milkshake, I was hoping I would be wrong about Gunpowder Milkshake, right? But this one, I was wrong. I was like, oh, you know what? I'll watch this one again. It's okay. It was like you said, light fare. If I was sitting around, it was a rainy Sunday, and nothing else was on TV, I'd pop this thing in and watch it again. I thought, and again, I'm a little bummed.
I wouldn't do that. I think I'd cut my fingernails instead.
But I tell you what, I'm surprised because I thought, man, I don't know. I mean, it's subjective, but I thought some of the Chris Pine lines were like, again, the dialogue was clearly not like Lord of the Rings. It was clearly it came across as dialogue of people playing a role playing game, right? And I think that's what they were hoping for. Like, it was like if you and I were playing a role playing game, and the DM was like, you need to make sure you take really good care of this helmet, right? And you're like, oh, I will. And then you just toss it off and have somebody else hold on to it. You know what I mean? That's something we would completely do in a role-playing game, And so that's kind of the vibe I got. But yeah, I don't know. I think we need to dig into this pure hatred of Chris Pine that you have a little bit. But
no, it's not. That's not the pure hatred of him. It's just that I thought this movie was just, I give it a 4. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'd go like 7. Again, I went in with very low. Hey, man, no, I thought it was great.
Well, no, it's funny. It is what it is. It's just because we had a similar but opposite discussion on Gunpowder Milkshake. I actually liked it, and you hated it. Yeah.
Oh man, Gunpowder Milkshake was a dumpster fire, man. I don't know why you guys like that thing, man. I'm just like, ugh.
I said the same thing about this movie.
I don't know, but this movie, for one, like okay, let's compare fight scenes. Barbarian in the forge, okay, fighting those guys with an axe, okay, and that was visceral. Woman fighting those guys in a bowling alley, like basically with all of them pulling their punches. I don't know. I think this one had a better fight scene. That's all I'm saying. So
okay.
Or like
we're judging it on different terms then, because I'm thinking about the character development and the plot and all of that sort of stuff. And I just these guys were. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was meant to be a veiled attempt at characters playing a role in a D&D role playing game, but I didn't see it that way, and maybe that's why I didn't like it. I don't know, but.
I thought the Chris Pine character had a pretty interesting arc. He started out, trying to resurrect his dead wife. He was somewhat selfish, and in his desire, he kind of framed it in the fact that he was trying to make his daughter's life better, but it was really for him. And we get all the way through that. It ends up where he ends up saving his friend because he realizes that his wife, who his daughter really never knew, wasn't all that important to her, but the friend was more important. So he saved the friend. I thought that was an interesting arc, you know. So I mean, again, I appreciate. Like I said, when I think about Gunpowder Milkshake, I don't. Those characters didn't have any arc. You know what I mean? They were just kind of flat. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's like I just watched it, and like I said, I think one of the points you made, honest to God, when I was on the same page with you when I watched that trailer, I was like, oh, like the new Indiana Jones movie. I watched that trailer. I was like, there's no fucking chance I've ever watched this movie, man.
I will not
There's
spend
no,
one penny. Yeah,
not
no
one
way.
penny on that one, man. No. So,
No.
but we'll talk about that one in a future podcast. And like I said,
Oh,
one
geez.
may even,
Yeah.
one may even say, like with the new Indiana Jones, how do you know if you don't watch it? It's like I could read the news. Okay, I can read things like plot
It's
synopsis,
not
and
even
I'm like,
just
yeah,
that. Like, I mean, you can look at the trailer and go, like, I have absolutely no interest. I have no interest. I don't care. I'm not going to spend my time on it. It can fade into
yeah,
oblivion for all I care.
yeah. Honestly, and everything else we always talk about, like the wokeness aside and all that kind of stuff. When I compare like and we're kind of shifting gears here a little bit, but like the Indiana Jones movie, I compare it to like probably I don't know how many years ago, like 6 years ago, I went to go like see Willie Nelson, and I think at the time he was like 87 years old, and that's that guy. That guy's smoked more weed than I don't even know, like all of Haight
Mm-hmm.
Ashbury in the 60s and 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, but still, I wanted to see Willie, right? It was horrible. It was so sad. It was so sad, right? Well,
Yeah.
same for this, man. I don't want to see an 80-year-old in Indiana Jones. I just don't,
Yeah.
and everything they're saying about it, I wouldn't mind like watching, maybe an Indiana Jones where he like, mentors somebody that goes off and does something, maybe, but I don't want to see a sad, pathetic Indiana Jones. I just don't. Not a thing.
Yeah. So you've
So,
read more than me. I haven't read anything about it. I just don't care. To me, it's just more. It's just propaganda. So
well,
I won't even give
I
it the
mean,
time of day. What do you think, Drew? Like, because you didn't grow up with Indiana Jones. What is your thoughts
Well,
on the new one?
I honestly, I kind of did in a way, because I remember watching. I watched them all when I was little. So I don't know. To be honest, I kind of feel the same. I just don't care. Like it was a great series back in the day when I watched it. I think I watched one of the older ones more recently, and it was so dated. I was just like, it's not even that great either anymore. Like it's okay. Like I can appreciate it for what it is and was, but
it's
um,
fucking the best movie ever made, Drew.
sure, sure. Don't cry about it, Tony.
Trying to get out
um,
of this time.
but yeah, it's I don't know. I've never really enjoyed reboots of anything. To be quite honest, like
Hmm.
it's very very rare that I'll watch like a reboot of an old classic series or even like a show that changes their characters for whatever reason. Some shows do it for because actors leave or whatever. Some shows do it on purpose, but all that kind of stuff. I'm not like if I like the original, I like it exactly the way it is. If you start messing with stuff and changing stuff, and I just don't. I'm not interested. I'd rather not even bother spending my time and money watching it. I'll just
Hmm.
there's
I
so much
wonder if
content
that's
out these days that I could go and watch.
yeah, yeah.
There's no point.
I wonder if that's maybe one of the reasons I had to. I'll just call it a mildly negative reaction to this movie is because like when I played D&D, I was into it, man. It was personal, and they just didn't do it the way I would have done it. They didn't make this movie. I wasn't on this adventure. I didn't roll up these characters, and
Yep.
I didn't do all of this. So it's to me, it was like me. It's
I get
just
that.
I don't. Yeah, like maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but I won't watch it again.
Yeah, I get
And
that. I
Tony,
mean,
if
I know
you
I.
if you request the new Indiana Jones podcast material, you're doing that one on your own.
I'm
Oh no, I don't know. Well, like I
gonna
said,
ask
I don't.
ChatGPT for a summary of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my
I'll
thing with
mail that
the
one in.
Indiana Jones movie, the only way I would do it is, I don't know. It's just not on my radar right now. It's just not. I mean,
It won't be
beyond
for me. Just know that. Write that
no,
down.
yeah.
Put that in script. because it ain't happening.
I
I
don't
won't
want to.
watch
Don't
MASH
challenge,
ever again.
dude. I'm not. Don't challenge me. I don't want you to anyway. Okay, so it's like, dude, if you
Yeah.
fucking,
Okay. Good.
honest to
I'm
gosh,
not
honest to
challenging you.
gosh,
I'm warning you.
if you try to get me to go to Madison, Wisconsin, I'm
Because
not
I know
going.
how
I
you
don't,
are.
I don't
You'll
even
be
know
like,
about
"Oh,
that.
come
I'm
on,
not going
man!
to do
This
that.
is just for
So,
the podcast. Oh, it's just for the
well,
podcast."
maybe
And I'll be
okay. Well,
like, "Yeah,
maybe I might do that, but again, that would have I would have to overcome it first, then I guess, because I'm not gonna. I mean,
yeah, exactly." And you're going to be so
if we're
proud
looking,
that you overcame that. You're going to want me to do, like, I'm going to say,
well,
"Tony, take
I
your
wouldn't mind
feminist ass." And
between you and me, I wouldn't mind doing like going back and watching the three original good ones, and talking about those. But like I said, I didn't like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull one. I thought that was lame. Um,
Dr.
but
Jones.
the only no, that's what is
No,
that?
I know
Raiders
too.
Law,
Yeah, the
Indiana Jones and the what is that one called? Not
Temple of Doom. Temple of
Temple
Doom.
of Doom. Yeah, short round. So
Yes.
you see,
You
like
call him
honest to
Dr.
God,
Jones.
honest to God. Okay, so the guy that was played Short Round just got an Academy Award for that movie that wasn't too good. The one where like here, there, everywhere, whichever one it was. He got an Academy Award for that. Okay, here's a guy,
I've heard a lot about
the one. Yeah. And so, what if you would have done a movie where he ends up being like the successor to Indiana Jones, right? I probably would have watched that. Okay, I probably would have been like, "Oh, Short
Mhm.
Round's back," and I would have been like, "That would have been, yeah." And again, Shia LaBeouf. What are you going to do with him? But I mean, I liked him after that Peanut Butter Falcon. I think he's great. So
Mm.
you have two actors that again, Indiana Jones somehow mentors these guys into like, rating freaking. I don't even know. That's a good movie. This one, I don't want to watch him be, again, emasculated
Mm.
by some woman. I don't want to watch that. It makes me uncomfortable.
Mm.
So he's because again, and if you look at the original movie, man, we were way off fucking topic, but who gives a shit? Anyway, when it comes down to it, and again, Drew, my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think I remember seeing that movie, and Doug and I have talked about this. There are movies. Jaws and Star Wars and The Matrix and all that kind of stuff that move the needle. Like, in other words, change the way that we watched movies, right? Pulp Fiction, all those kinds of movies. Raiders was one of those movies. It was a summer blockbuster that, I probably saw multiple times in the theater, right? And so it bothers me, same as Star Wars, that Disney comes along and they're just kind of like, we're going to take this IP and fucking shit all over it. You're just kind of like,
Mm.
it's just, and it's interesting to me because they do it and they're kind of like, that didn't work. Is there another one we can shit on? It's
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
learn from your
Do the same
mistake.
thing to The Witcher.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I don't get it, man. I
Mm.
don't get it. And yeah, I'm not going to watch it. I'm part of that. But and again, that movie flopped so big, it's insane. So I
Yeah.
mean, $300 million to make it. What?
Yeah.
I remember when they made.
Empire.
Yeah, I remember when they made Waterworld, and I think Waterworld cost like 80 million, and they were like,
So
way too
it
much.
was. I think it went over 100 million, and that was the big deal. I think
That was a
Waterworld
huge
actually
deal.
went over 100 million. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that was because they had the sets that they built, those floating sets sunk. One of them sunk or something. They had to
yep.
rebuild it, and it was so it was expensive. But yeah, that was a big deal that it went over 100 million bucks. But I actually liked Waterworld, so
I
I
don't
did
think I
too.
ever saw that one.
Yeah, it's
Waterworld,
one
yeah,
of
this is Mad Max basically on the water.
Mad Max on the
But it was
water.
cool. It was fun.
So
Yeah.
it's Kevin Costner with gills. So what happened was Kevin Costner goes into the Wild West, saves the American Indians, okay, and then the world floods. Then he becomes a postman, taking mail to people on the coast, falls in,
Mhm.
grows gills, and then
That's
he
it.
goes to Yellowstone.
That's
Full
the
circle.
lineage. That's the lineage. Yeah, and
True
he
story, Drew.
saved the world on the Exxon Valdez.
When it started out, I thought you were talking about Dancing with Wolves.
Was I? Hey, so also, Doug, just sort of talking about it. I'm
Lieutenant.
yeah, I'm like 6 or 7 episodes into 1883. We're going to talk about that
Oh,
on the
Okay.
podcast.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're on 5 now, right, Drew? Something like that. I think we're on 5.
Yes, yeah. We haven't watched 5. We just finished watching 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
freaking.
Well, I think we do that one, and then I do think we need to do Sound of Freedom. That should be our next one. So that's
Sound of Freedom
an
may come
upcoming
before.
podcast, folks.
Sound of Freedom will probably come before this one right here.
Yeah, agreed. Because we're
So
going to see
yeah,
it in a couple of days. So
yep. All right.
And that'd be fun because we're going to go in the theater and see that together while we.
Dude, I've heard they've been
Sneak.
turning off the AC in the theaters and doing weird shit to people so they can't watch it.
We're going to talk about that.
Oh.
I think Sound of Freedom also is going to be a movie review and also a global reaction, an evaluation of commentary about the reaction to it, but I haven't seen it yet. So again, got to watch it. Got to kind of look at some other things. It's not a movie that I would normally actively go out and seek out. You know what I mean? But because of all the word of mouth, I do want to check it out. And one other thing too, and this is all going to end up in the podcast, but hey, whatever, because I haven't logged off yet. I would also like to go see the new Mission Impossible movie. So that might be one to check it out.
I'd be down to watch for sure.
Yeah, we should do that too. Maybe we can do some back-to-backs. All right, I'm going to end it there. Okay.
All right.
Anybody else got anything to say? We've already rated them. Everybody knows what we want. Doug and I disagree on this one, but that's okay. That's actually becoming less common than I thought. Okay, so hey, man, just opinions, folks.
Whatever.
Yep, exactly. And Drew and I are on the same page this time. I think closer to the same page.
Yeah.
All right, like, share, subscribe. We'll talk to everybody later. Bye.
See ya.
All right, time to do another outro. This is probably my least favorite part of doing podcasting, and you're probably like, why? Why, Tony? Why is this your least favorite part? Well, because I suck at it. I always screw it up. This is take 87 or something, and I'm about to lose my mind. With that said, let's just go and roll right into it. What do you need to know right now? Well, we're creeping up on podcast 60 if we're not already past that, and that's kind of crazy. So you're probably thinking, how did you pull that off? Well, Doug and I have known each other for 30 years. We'll probably still be hanging out 30 years from now, and if not longer, and we put up with each other's BS. So there's really no reason to stop. At least I don't think there is. We enjoy talking about culture, society, and entertainment, and especially through that weird retrospective perspective lens. And I'm kind of hoping you do too. And I'm guessing you do because you're listening to this right now. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. Helps a ton. Liking, sharing, and subscribing on whatever platform you're on just basically gets our show out there. Other things you can do, if you have a show idea and you're probably thinking, I got an idea, but I bet money they wouldn't talk about it. Try me. Send me the idea. Drop it in the comments. Send me an email. Weirder the better. I do like a challenge. What else if you can do? If you want to be on the show, you want to be a guest, or you know somebody that might want to be a guest, you've got a story you want to tell, something you want to put out there, or maybe you just want to be part of this stupid conversation, by all means, let me know. I'll definitely reach out to you. Email's the best. Finally, I just want to say thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us. We really, really do appreciate it. I definitely appreciate the fact that you're keeping that analog spectrum spirit alive, and I look forward to seeing you next time.